Welcome to The Secret Sauce. I'm glad you're here. I'm your host, Kip Schubert. And as educators, we need to own our stories. We need to share how we've climbed mountains that seemed impossible. And in the process, discovered that secret sauce that we all have. Because it's with that secret sauce, we reach back over those mountains and become the Sherpa that our schools and our staff and our students need. Be sure and follow the podcast. I don't want you to miss an episode. And please reach out to me. I would love to come to your school and share my secret sauce with your staff and students. Our stories, our experiences, they matter. They are what connect us and empowers the development of authentic relationships that our schools, our communities, our world desperately needs right now. So let's get real, let's get raw, and let's get vulnerable and dive into our next episode. And welcome to the 20th episode of The Secret Sauce with Kip Schubert. And I just wanted to share with you today an activity in class that I do that is probably the biggest and deepest way that I am able to authentically connect with my kids or my student athletes. And it's just an activity called If You Really Knew Me. And it's something that you can do in your classroom. It's something that you can do with your athletic teams. It's something that you can do in the staff meetings or PD as well. And I've just found it to be the most real and authentic activity that I do. And I set it up by talking about the importance of mindset, and that's the direction that our lives are going to go, and how our choices impact our mindset, and how our mindset impact our choices, and how our mindset is affected by the tribe that we're around. And so, we preface it by starting out just talking about mindset and our choices and the tribe, the people that we're around. And this activity really brings a deepness to the connection that I have with the people that I serve and the kids and the student athletes that I love. Because relationship and connection is the foundation to increase learning and growth. And it's not just for the students, it's for our staff too. And so what I do with this activity is that I begin by writing a prompt on the board. And I ask them to write this down if we're in a classroom, or to think about it if we're on an athletic field or in a locker room. And I just write the prompt, if you really knew me, you would know that. And I ask them to fill in the sentence. And we talk about how well we really know the people that are around us every single day, the kids that sit right next to us and right in front of us and right behind us, the players that play right beside us and train with us every single day, the staff members that work right alongside of us every single day. How well do we really know them? And to break the ice and to open it up, I always share first. And I ask others to share after me and to become vulnerable and to step outside that box so we can really see, hear, and value one another. And so I start out by sharing that 9 years ago, I was a homeless person and I had lost everything that meant anything to me. And when I first shared that, my students and the people that I'm working with or the people that I'm serving are absolutely shocked. And I tell a little bit about that, and how appropriately how I can in the setting that I'm in. With athletic teams, I can share a lot more. In a classroom, especially with middle school kids, I can share a lot less, but I just really open up and become vulnerable. And a lot of times I move to emotion and tears with my voice cracking about how my addiction to alcohol led me to become homeless and lose everything, my house, my car, my kids. And it really sets the tone and allows the kids to feel safe that, hey, if Mr. Shoe or Coach Shoe can share, then I can share too. And you'd be amazed at the way the kids open up and begin to share. And, it really helps you see your children, your students, your student athletes, your coworkers and it just breaks your heart, but it brings you so close together at the same time. And I did this activity a couple weeks ago in a sixth grade classroom. And there's this young boy I had in second hour, and I thought that this kid, his name was Tristan, I thought that he just sat in the back and all he wanted to do was play video games all the time. He didn't get a whole lot of work done. I really had to prompt him, and it got to the point where I was kind of confrontational with him in most of my conversations. In in what he shared really hit me hard and made me think I wasn't seeing and hearing and loving Tristan. I was confronting him on him not doing what I expected him to do without ever really knowing who Tristan was and what Tristan was dealing with at home and how things were going for him. And Tristan does not have the easiest of home lives, but and he never talks in class. And so when he raised his hand to share, it really threw me because I was like, okay, wow. He's going to share that he doesn't get to play video games like he wants to. Um, I didn't know what he would share would be so deep. And as he raised his hand, with his voice cracking, Tristan said, if you really knew me, you would know that I think that everyone hates me. And that broke my heart. Tristan thought that I hated him too. And the way I treated him, how would he think anything different? And being a quiet kid and his home life being rough, I'm sure that Tristan thought everyone was looking at him like all the kids do and like all of us adults do. Let's admit it. We always think everyone's looking at us and judging us, and they're not. We're all worried about the exact same thing. I just walked over as Tristan was sharing and put my hand on his shoulder and kind of gave him a hug and drew him in close and just said, Tristan, we love you. I said, get your head up and look at this classroom, guys. How many of you guys love Tristan? And they all raised their hands. And then in the last couple of weeks, you just would be so amazed and filled with joy to see the transformation in Tristan, just because he shared that information and people began to understand and see and value and hear and know who he really was. It allowed Tristan to open up and begin to be successful as a student too. But it allowed me to, every time I see him in the hallways, it's like, hey, Tristan, how's it going? You know, instead of thinking, okay, there's that kid that's just going to play video games and not do anything. Now I see and know and hear Tristan for who he is. And so I try to encourage and empower that successful student to continue to come out in him. And so he sees himself as a success. He doesn't hate who he is. And he sees that everyone else loves him too. As we went through the day, that day with with that activity, and this always happens, the kids are coming out of the room and sharing with everybody else in the hallway, what are we doing in social studies? And they tell each other, and Mr. Shoe is going to make you cry. And, I tell them that I didn't make you cry. It's that when we begin to share and connect and get outside our bubble and we become vulnerable and we blow up that box, that is what makes you cry. Because you get in touch with who each other really is. And we begin to connect and we begin to build stronger relationships. That's only going to allow us to really get to that goal that we hope to achieve as far as becoming successful as a student, to become successful as an educator, to become successful as a student athlete, to become successful as a coach. And so I just want to encourage you to maybe try this activity in your classroom. Try this activity with one of your athletic teams. Do it in a PD or a staff meeting with your faculty. I'm telling you, when you share first and become extremely vulnerable, you make others around you feel safe and that they can do the same. And then when everyone starts to share, there will be tears, but there'll be opportunities to hug and love one another too. And just the way it begins to bond you together, those relationships begin to cement. And I'm telling you, once people around you and in your organization or in your classroom or with your team as a group begin to see, hear, and love one another, the learning, the winning, the teaching the education services that you're providing will go through the roof. So I challenge you, use this in your classroom, use it with your team, use it with your staff. And I would love for you to come on my Facebook page or come on this podcast and share your insights of what you gained through this activity, so we can spread it to everyone else, and so we can begin to see, hear, and love everybody in the educational field. You know, education is such an important part of someone's journey as they begin their life, and as they go on past high school and into their adult life. We're always learning. But to really connect and to build relationships with these kids and with the people that we work with, that is what's going to really allow us to be successful at what we do. We've got to have the connection over the content. So again, I challenge you, use this activity. And if you really knew me, you would know that. Thanks, and I'll talk to you next time. Hey, we appreciate you listening to our podcast. Let's connect and impact lives together. Leave me a comment on this episode, or find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at The Secret Sauce with Kip Schubert. We would be honored if you would share this episode on your social media. Continue to share your story. It matters. Reach back over that mountain. Every educator, every student needs to feel loved, heard, and valued. So dish out that secret sauce and be that Sherpa to guide others to the summit. Till next time, let's stay all in and all together.